Hello everyone, Seraphin here. Welcome back for my guide on how to play Fire Emblem Heroes. Now when I last left you guys, we talked a lot about allies and or heroes rather, and just what all these different numbers and different fields and everything entails. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about how to customize these heroes and what you can actually do with them. So in my last video, I mentioned that we got into the Edit Teams menu here, but I didn't really talk about what that meant. Now, when you have a team, you'll see here we've got 4 slots for a team. Right now we've got Anna in our first slot and Takumi in our second slot. We actually have 2 other ones we can fill, so we're going to go ahead and put Ray in our third slot. And you see I get a Hero's Path quest for editing my team. And then we're going to put Matthew in the 4th slot. I don't see any reason to have Virian because we've already got Takumi as an archer. Why do we need another archer? So you'll see here we've got not the perfect team, but it's fairly well balanced. We have Anna, who is a green unit. Now, what I mean by green unit is that she has her weapon type, and axe is always going to be green. Swords are another weapon type in this game. They are always red, as you can see with Altena here. If we had a lance unit, they would always be blue. And the weapon triangle is very much still in effect in this game. So if you've played any Fire Emblem games previously, or any American ones at any rate, you know the weapon triangle. Swords beat axes, axes beat lances, and lances beat swords. So it's literally rock, paper, scissors. That is still the case in this game. However, they break it down a little further, and it's not just weapon types that are good against other ones, it is just colors, basically. It's very reminiscent of Fates, if you've played Fates at all. So for example, Anna is a green axe. She will always be green as an axe unit. Takumi is a colorless bow unit, meaning that he is not vulnerable or strong against any other colors. Colorless is neutral. They don't have any benefit or weakness against any other colors. Ray is a red tome, as indicated with a little book above his head because he's a mage. And he actually would be good against Anna because red beats green. If Ray were a sword, he would be Anna too because it's always red. There's actually different colors for bows, as well as for daggers, as well as for dragons. There's different colors for everything. The only exception is swords are always red, axes are always green, and lances are always blue. Bows can be any color, magic tomes can be any color, daggers can be any color, which is what Matthew has right here, as indicated by that little shuriken symbol. The only other exception to that is healing staves. Staff units are always colorless, every single time. So there is at least one weapon type that is always a given color for each of the 4 colors. So here we have a green unit, a red unit, and 2 colorless. We don't have anybody that's blue in our roster right now, but that will change very shortly. And this is going to be our team just for the little prologue that we're going to go into in a bit. And if we click on each of these units, we can see their various stats on the top here, as well as their equipped weapons, their equipped skills, all that jazz. We can get closer looks at them just like we could with Anna before. Same exact situation. And we actually have here the name of the team. You see it's all in dots here. If we were to click Edit Team Name on the bottom, we can change the name of this team. And there's also a button down here for Set Defensive Team. The reason that's grayed out right now is because it already is our defensive team, as indicated by this little shield right here. And all defensive team means is this is the team that other players will fight against when they encounter your player in the arena. So if someone were participating in an arena battle and they got you as one of their options to fight against, your defensive team is the group of units that they will fight against. And you can change which team is your defensive team whenever you'd like. Now you actually have 15 slots for teams. We see we've got not just one, but there's a lot of different teams we can pick from. And you can switch between these anytime you like, pretty much, during the course of gameplay. Before you launch into a map, it'll ask you, hey, what team do you want to use? By default, you're just going to pick your first slot, I imagine. I think the game actually defaults to the last one that you used, as a general rule. So for Team 2, we could throw in Altena, we could throw in Virian, we could throw in any other units we weren't currently using, or we could just mix and match the same guys if we wanted to. Any 4 units you want in any of these team slots, you can do anything you want with them. So this little reminder up here next to Edit Teams is telling you the seasons. It's actually changed since the last time I recorded this, because the season has actually changed as of, I think it was 7 o'clock tonight. The season actually rotates over on Monday evening at 7 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So it used to be a fire, water, and anima and astra. Now it is water and earth and light and dark. And the 2 symbols on the left actually will be, not random, but it's any 2 of the 4 on any given season. But light and dark for the right symbols will always be together, and anima and astra will always be together. There is a reason for that. We'll talk about that much later when we get to why that's important. For right now, you can ignore these. You as a new player don't really need to worry about this very much at all. So we're going to have our starting team here of these 4 units. We've got Anna, Takumi, Ray, and Matthew. And also, I'm about to mention right here, we actually have, this is called our barracks, by the way, is all of our available units to pick from. And you see we have 6 out of 300 units. That is your maximum capacity you can have starting out. You can spend orbs to increase your maximum barracks capacity. I think 1 orb gives you 5 more capacity. So if you wanted to bump that up by 100, you'd need to spend a whole 20 orbs. When the game first came out, it was only 200, and then they gave everybody an extra 100 capacity as a free gift 1 year, so that was pretty cool. And you can actually sort what units, how units appear in your roster with this little menu here. You can sort by what rarity they are. So like, for example, higher stars will appear first. The only reason that these 4 appear before Altena, even though they're lower ranked than her, is because your currently active team is always going to be first on your list. So if we go to another slot that's empty, you'll see Altena's now in the top because she's sorted by rarity. She's the first one. We can sort by the unit's level. So Anna's first because she's level 4. Everybody else is level 1. You can sort by a lot of things. There's even an advanced sort option. You can use all sorts of stuff just like this. And then we can also choose to omit favorites if we wanted to do that, which is kind of neat. And then, what's this up here? Oh yeah, we can quick swap to a given team by clicking that little button up top here in green, instead of swapping through one at a time. Here's the big long list of all of them. That's pretty neat. So we're going to go with this team right now just for starting out purposes. We're going to hit back row here. The next thing we're talking about today is ally growth. This is the next furthest down option on the allies menu. So these are pretty straightforward for the most part. We have level up, and what that means is you can spend these resources called shards and crystals, and rather than having to send units into battle and train them so they earn XP, you can actually spend these various resources to level your units up without having to fight with them if you want to. Now you do require the requisite shards and crystals, and these are a form of currency in the game. Shards are these bottom ones here, these little, I guess, I'm not even sure, I guess they just look like little crystals. At any rate, shards are for leveling units from 1 to 20, and crystals, the larger diamond-looking ones, are for leveling up units from level 21 to level 40. So there's 2 separate currencies for a given range of levels for units. So bottom half is shards, upper half is crystals. Now, in addition to these yellow ones, when you click on a unit, you'll have a certain color of ones on the left. And what does that correlate to? Well, if you've already figured it out, the unit's color is what color of crystals and shards you'll use to level them up. So because Ray is a red tome, we need red crystals and red shards to level him up. Whoops. And whereas Anna is green, and we need green shards and green crystals to level her up. Takumi, we need colorless ones. If we had a blue unit, they would require blue. The yellow ones are universal. They work for everybody. So, and the game is actually smart enough to use the more restrictive color first and then tap into universal ones. Right now we don't have any, which is awful because on my main account I have probably hundreds of thousands of these things. So I can instantly level up any unit I get right off the bat, but only because I've been playing for so long and I've accrued so many of them. You will earn these through the course of gameplay. Don't worry about it not having any to start out with. It's not that important. Honestly, starting out, you're probably better off just leveling up your units the old-fashioned way, just so you can get a feel for how they play and get a better handle on the gameplay mechanics in general. So don't worry about this right now if you don't have any. That's all that level up menu is for. Learning skills is exactly what we saw when we clicked on that hero menu at the bottom right here, when we could see Anna's default skill kit here. Rather than just clicking on the unit themselves, because these buttons were actually a fairly recent addition to the game, believe it or not. You used to have to go into this ally menu, click on the unit you wanted to teach skills to, and then click next, and then scroll through their list of skills to teach them. You used to have to do this every single time for every single character, and it's a big pain in the neck. What does guide mean? Well, that just tells you like the effects of the weapon. If you already know what the weapon does or the skill does, you can turn the guide off and save yourself some screen space. But since you're just starting out, you'll probably want to know what everything does. And then you can filter out the skills based on weapon skills, or just look at special ones, or just look at passives for a given slot. Just keep it on all, it's fine, don't worry about it. And again, learning skills is just ones that the unit already knows or that you've inherited to them. We'll talk about inheritance in 1 second. In fact, we're talking about it right now. So inherit skill, what does that mean? Well, I mentioned already that every unit has an inbuilt set of skills that they natively have access to. So for example, Matthew has a rogue dagger, and he has an assist skill called Reciprocal Aid, where him and a target ally swap HP. That's a pretty nifty skill, honestly. And if we look at Matthew a little closer, we can see all of his various different skills. He's got daggers, he's got Reciprocal Aid, he's got Poison Strike as a B slot passive, and he has Hone Speed as a C slot passive. These are what Matthew learns innately, but you can actually teach these skills to other units that don't innately learn them, But in order to do that, you actually need to consume the unit that knows them. So it's not really a great metaphor, but you're effectively killing the unit and then giving all of their knowledge to a different one, which seems weird. But I'm not going to do it fully, but I'm going to show you an example here. So what you do is you put the unit you want to learn the skill in the left box here, and the unit you want to learn skills from in the right box. So let's just put Matthew in there for the sake of argument. And then we'll go ahead and hit next. So what I'm looking at here is a list of all of Matthew's skills. And if it says can't in the top corner up here, that means Anna can't learn that skill. The unit in your left box can't learn the skill. You can't give it to them. The reason she can't learn is because it's a dagger, and Anna uses axes. She can't learn dagger skills. She can, however, choose to learn Reciprocal Aid. So I could just click on that one. And she can learn up to 4 different skills, by the way. So that's what this selected 1 of 4 means down here. So I can choose to give her Reciprocal Aid, and I can also choose to give her, let's say, Hone Speed. So I pick Hone Speed 1, 2, and 3. Yes, you do need to pick all 3 levels of a given skill if you want to have all three levels, the maximum level of it. So I could give her 1 full set of passives and 1 either assist skill or weapon skill or anything like that. And that is all 4 of the things she can learn. If I hit confirm here, it gives me a little window real quick. It says, hey, these are the skills you're going to give to Anna, and if inherited, the source character will vanish, it says. So if I click inherit and confirm, my Matthew will go away forever, but Anna will now be able to learn Reciprocal Aid and all 3 levels of Hone Speed. And you can do this with just about everybody. You can sacrifice any unit you have access to and give 4 of their skills to any other unit you have access to. There are certain inheritance restrictions. For example, you'll notice that Matthew doesn't have all of his skills in here that he can learn. He doesn't have Poison Strike 3. And the reason he doesn't have Poison Strike 3, even though it was on his list of skills that he can learn, is because he needs to be 5 stars in order to get Poison Strike 3. So if I wanted to give Poison Strike 3 to Anna, I would need to first level up Matthew to 5 stars and then have her inherit the skill. It's a pain in the neck. There are certain units that learn all 3 tiers of a given skill at lower rarity. So for example, Matthew learns Hone Speed at 4 stars, whereas several other units that have access to Hone Speed will only require it, or only get the 3rd level at 5 stars. So there are some units that are particularly useful for inheriting skills from. Matthew's not really one of them, but he is nice because Hone Speed's pretty good, and Reciprocal A is also a very good skill. But again, you can only learn 4 at a time per hero that you sacrifice. And we're just going to go ahead and hit back. We're not going to give that to Anna right now because, quite frankly, she doesn't need it, but every unit that you can look at and look at their skills here, if there's anything on their list that you want to give to somebody else, you can inherit it to them. It'll just cost you the unit. You'll never get to use them again, unless you get another copy of them by summoning or something. So we can see here that Virion has Seal Speed at his current rarity. He's got access to Defiant Resistance, but again, right here it says he needs to be 5 stars to get that one. And there's another exception too. For example, we'll look at Virion's Dignified Bow. It says here he needs to be 5 stars to get it, but also at the bottom it says this skill can only be equipped by its original unit. And what that just means that nobody except Virion can learn this skill. He's the only one that can get it, and he has access to it, which is nice, because that'd be kind of dumb if he didn't, but you can never inherit his Dignified Bow, even to other bow users. Only Virion can have it. So, and whenever it's usually weapon skills that can't be inherited. There are a select number of very rare passives that are only available to the unit that has them innately. They're not very common. They're mostly on mythic and legendary heroes. We'll talk about them a little bit later. But suffice to say, most units in the game actually now have access to a weapon that only they get. When you look online, on like forums or on Reddit or anything, most of the time players of the game will refer to this as a PRF, or a preferred skill or a personal skill, meaning that only the unit that gets it or the only leader that innately has access to it can never have it. So this is Virian's PRF weapon, or his preferred weapon, his personal weapon is the Dignified Bow. Anna's is that no-attune axe that you saw earlier, but not every unit has a preferred weapon skill. For example, Ray does not have one. If we look at Ray's weapon skills here, he currently has Router Wolf. Router, I think, is Norse for red or something like that, or Icelandic, I think. But he gets Router Wolf and then Router Wolf Plus, which is a better version of Router Wolf. But he doesn't... Oh, I guess he does have a Hermit's Tome. I guess they added a PRF weapon for him. They actually periodically do this throughout the course of the game. Units that were released that didn't have a unique weapon for only them, they're going through and adding them retroactively, which is really cool. Ray very recently got this, I believe, this Hermit's Tome. When he first came out, he only had Router Wolf Plus, and that was it. So he did not have a personal weapon. Anybody that can use a red tome can learn Router Wolf, pretty much. And then Altena is another fantastic example. She has Ragnell and Alendite. Altena actually has 2 swords, by the way, which is just absolutely amazing. So she has both of them as one different skill, and she can... Oh, it's so good. We'll talk about Altena some other time. She's amazing. If you don't already have her, log in before the end of March and get her right now. At any rate, that's how you inherit skills onto people. Unlock potential. This is the other big one. This is how you level up a unit from a lower star ranking to a higher one. So you see that we can't unlock Altena's potential. She's got an X there because she's already 5 stars. 5 is the max. You can't go any higher than that. There is no 6-star Altena. There's no 7-star. 5 is the most. We can, however, unlock Anna's potential, or anybody else here that's only 4 stars. We can bump them up to 5 stars. The difference is we need some resources to do that. We need 2 different kinds of resources. We need Hero Feathers, which is their only use. The only thing you use with Hero Feathers is upgrading units to higher rarities. And you'll see here, going from a 4-star to a 5-star, we need 20,000 Hero Feathers. That's kind of a lot. You see, we've only got 105 right now. Now, 20,000 seems like an absolutely exorbitant number. And when the game first came out, it was a ton. That was really hard to get that many feathers to light people up. But nowadays, with all the various different game modes and ways to earn things, it's actually fairly easy to get this many feathers, believe it or not. You can probably do it in just a couple of days. So having ability to rank up heroes to higher star rarities is really good. The higher star rarity a unit goes, the higher their base stats will go, up to a certain limit. So for example, if we had a level 40 4-star Anna, I think her attack with her axe is like 40 something. But if you upgrade to a 5-star, it goes a couple points higher than that. All her stats go a couple points higher when she's upgraded to a different rarity. And the same goes for everybody. Generally speaking, the unit's maximum potential is level 40 at 5 stars. A level 40 4-star unit is also very good, but not quite as good as a 5-star, even if it's the same character. So what's the other requirement here? We have these are called Great Badges, and these also come in 4 different colors, just like the weapon skills or those crystals and shards you saw earlier. So Anna needs green Great Badges, Ray needs red ones, Matthew, Virian, and Takumi need colorless ones. And you only need 20. The Great Badges are fairly easy to get. Ranking up from 1-star to 2, 2-star to 3, and I think that's it. 3-star to 4 maybe also. You need just regular badges. They're a bit smaller, but they're easier to get, and you require more of them. So Great Badges are from going from 4 to 5 stars. Regular badges are just badges are from going from lower rarities to up to 4 stars. That's what you need for unlocking a character's potential. And when you unlock a character potential, doesn't matter what level they currently are, they will get reset to level 1. So you'll have to level them back up again. I know, it's a little bit of pain, but on the plus side, when they're unlocked at 5 stars, they will have access to more skills, they'll have access to better stats, and they'll actually be able to inherit other things as well. That's what unlock potential is. Expect to come here a fair bit toward the middle of your progression system here to upgrade your good units. Merging we're going to skip Dragon Flowers for now because that's not important. Merging allies. This one's a little weird. So you'll notice here that Anna's level 4, but there is something you can do in this game where you can combine like copies of different heroes and make one copy of them stronger. So Anna's a rare exception because you only ever get one copy of Anna. You can never merge her because it's not possible to get more copies of Anna. She's the only one you'll ever get. And there's 2 other characters in the game that are just like that. But for everybody else, pretty much, for Takumi and Ray and everybody else, you can get more than one copy of them through summoning or through events or that kind of a deal. if you have more than one copy of a hero, you can actually merge them together. And what that means is you take one that will be like the surviving unit, the one that gets enhanced, it says here, and then you will lose the extra copy. When you merge them together, though, the surviving unit gets bonus skill points and stat boosts. And you can merge one unit up to 10 times. So, in theory, what you could do, if you had 11 copies of Takumi, say, you could merge the other 10 into one of them, and you would have a level, however what level he is, plus 10. So you can have a plus 1 Takumi, which means you pumped one extra copy into him, and it goes up to plus 10. So up to 10 additional copies you can merge into one other unit. That is the maximum potential a unit can have, is 10 merges on them. And what does merging do? Merging will permanently increase all of your base stats every time you do it. Not all of them, but just a couple of them. So if I were to merge one extra copy of Takumi into this existing one, his his 3 highest stats will increase. So Takumi's highest stats are his HP, his attack, and his speed, I believe. So all 3 of those would get bumped up by a couple of points. And he would also gain bonus skill points just from doing the merge. And whatever level he was when I merged him, he would stay that level. So if I merged him right now, he would be level 1 plus 1. It wouldn't be level 2, it's just 1 plus 1. If I merged a second copy into him, it would be 1 plus 2, and then 1 plus 3, and so on and so forth. And the most is 10, as I said. When you have a plus 10 unit, every single one of their 5 stats is increased by 4, which is a big difference. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually a very big difference. And obviously get all that bonus skill points. And it's actually a really good idea to do, especially if you have 2 copies of a unit that you really like. But say, for example, when you summoned them, they had like one of their most important stats, how it was a flaw. So for example, if I summoned a copy of Takumi and he had an attack flaw, meaning his attack is lower than it should be, if I were to merge one extra copy of Takumi into that one with the attack flaw, his flaw actually goes away. It bumps up his flaw to where it's normally supposed to be. And then it also bumps up his other stats in addition to that. So all you need is one copy to do that. So if you get 2 copies of a unit and they both have bad flaws, just merge them together, and then whatever one you want to keep, like say it has a good boon, for example, or a good asset, you can get rid of the weakness and keep the benefit. It's really, really nice. I'll explain that when I have the ability to in a little bit. I realize not giving you a visual aid is probably not helping, so when I have more than one copy, we'll try that out just so you can see. Needless to say, this is kind of an end game kind of thing. Merging is not essential to complete any content in the game. It's perfectly possible to complete everything in the game with just unmerged units, without any extra capacity, extra skill inheritance, any extra merges, anything like that. So don't feel like you have to do it. It's just a convenience for high-level play. And then we also have Confer Blessing down here. This one's also a little, I guess, endgame, not endgame, but it's higher tier sort of situation. We have 8 different flavors of blessing here. The way that you earn these various blessings, there's in-game events you can do or in-game missions to earn blessings. But also, whenever you summon a legendary hero or a mythic hero, you will gain a blessing of their appropriate type. So, for example, Altena here is an Astra hero. So that's what her mythic effect is. Astra is what it says right here on top. And that's what that symbol next to her portrait means. She's an Astra mythic hero. And normally, if you were to summon a copy of Altena, she would also give you a free Astra blessing. That's the pinkish purple one here, or pinkish blue one. But because she was given away for free, we didn't get a free Astra blessing with her. It was said that to begin with. But needless to say, when you get a blessing, you can confer that blessing on a unit that isn't already blessed or isn't already a legendary or mythic hero, and they will gain that blessing, that element, so to speak. And there's a lot of reasons to do that, but we're not going to worry about it right now, mostly because A, we don't have any blessings, and B, it's not really something we need to worry about right now. We'll talk about it later. Suffice to say, these blessings correlate to this arena season, these different elements you see on the main screen. And these are the elements that gain bonuses for the given week. So you'll notice Astra's not on here. Altena's blessing is not on here because she's not in season right now. Doesn't mean she's bad, it just means she won't get any extra benefits. Nor will anybody with an Astra blessing on them. That's okay. We don't have to worry about it right And then we'll talk about Dragon Flower some other time. They're another way to improve your unit's combat potential by permanently increasing their stats, but you need these Dragon Flower items to do it, and they're quite difficult to get, and we won't worry about it right now. So we'll talk about that some other time. At any rate, that is basically pretty much the basics of the units menu here. There's some other more nuanced stuff we'll get to in a little bit. If I were looking at change equipment here, all this is very similar to growing your allies and learning skills, except this is where you would go to change out their skills if they had more than one in a given slot, for example. So like if I wanted to equip a different bow on Takumi, I could go in here and select him, and instead of the silver bow he has equipped, I can choose to equip the steel bow instead, or the iron bow. I don't know why you would do that. There's no reason to. The silver bow is just straight up better, but you can do that from here. You can also do this right from the unit menu themselves by clicking that little plus sign by their picture. Not from here, conveniently enough, but if I were to go somewhere else, I could do that. Equipping seals. Now, this is weird because we don't actually have any seals right now. Sacred Seals is what this 4th slot is for, and it's just a bonus skill. It's the same ones you'll find in A and B and C slots, but it's an extra slot that can have any of them. And in order to earn seals, you need to either create them or earn them through gameplay. We actually don't have the means to create them right now. You need to progress in the story to a certain point to unlock the ability to create the seals. We're not there yet, so we'll talk about that when we get there. This is where you would go to put seals on units if you had any. We don't right now, don't worry about it. And then we can edit and equip skill sets from here, or equip skill sets. I don't know why there's 2 separate buttons for that when they say the same bloody thing. And then there's accessories. These are actually fun little cosmetic things you can add to your units. So we get one for free just from clicking, we get the Fae doll. All it is a little owl. Oh, we get this one too. We get the enigmatic mask. So we get 2 accessories for free. So what that means is you can click on the unit, or if you want, there's a button down here to select accessory instead. These are our 2 accessories. Let's just pick the mask for, or pick the owl. Let's pick the owl for right now. And we can pick this, or pick a hero rather, to put the owl on. So we can have Anna with an owl on her head. It's purely cosmetic. It does not add anything to gameplay. It's just fun little accessories like masks and crowns and various other like fashion accessories you can put on your heroes. It's just for fun. Purely cosmetic. There's a few ways to earn these. They're just nifty little doodads and stuff, but they're kind of fun. I personally don't care too much about these, but your mileage may vary. If you want to add a little more flair, a little more personality to your characters, you can come here to do that. And you get these 2 for free, just for opening up the Equip Accessories menu. So that's that for now. We'll talk more about the rest of these options on the ally screen next time. It's going to go pretty quick, I think, though, so we'll get to it when we get to it, and we'll go through it pretty quick. So thank you for joining me to this point. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you're learning more about how all the allies work. Once we actually get into a proper gameplay session, so you can see what's on the map and see how everything works in concert, it'll make a lot more sense. I'm just getting the bare bones down right now so you have an understanding, a base level point to jump off from. So we'll get into that. We'll figure it out a little bit more next time. Stick around for that if you're interested. If not, it's entirely up to you. But thank you very much for watching. If you have, feel free to leave a like and a subscribe for the channel if you wouldn't mind at all. And I will see you next time. And until then, this has been Seraphin. Stay classy, internets.